rebound tip taken by Spades. Final seconds. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Just several years ago, the Cleveland Cavaliers had it all. Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kevin Love in his prime. This team won a championship in 2016, made it to the finals once again in 2017 and 18, and right after that, everything went downhill. In the offseason of 2017, Kyrie Irving demanded a trade. It was later traded to the Boston Celtics. Season after that, LeBron James bolted to LA after a sweep in the finals against the Golden State Warriors. Cleveland Cavaliers found themselves once again in a rebuild. To get out of this, it started with the drafting of Collin Sexton, who embodied what it was to be a Cleveland Cavalier. The young bull, as some might call him, he was a nightly 20-point per game scorer and a workhorse, someone that gave it his all each and every night despite the result. But the losses kept piling up. With these losses, the Cavaliers landed the 5th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft. This is where things started to really turn for this franchise. The Cleveland Cavaliers used this pick on their franchise point guard Darius Garland, and in its third year turned into an all-star and one of the best point guards in the league. And then in the 2021 NBA draft, they were able to land the 3rd overall pick, using that on Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is a tenacious defender and has drawn comparisons to Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and Anthony Davis. You see it on a nightly basis what he can do both on offense and defense, and if he's ever able to reach that potential, this Cavs team will be a championship winner. Last season, the Cleveland Cavaliers did something that nobody expected them to. They made a play-in push, they won 44 games, and most importantly, they made a lot of noise. A lot of teams were put on notice on what the Cleveland Cavaliers were, and because of that, they made a splash move this past offseason. The Cleveland Cavaliers traded for Donovan Mitchell. This is the player that looks to put them over the top, the player that looks to propel them into contention. Early thoughts on this trade were very promising. Everybody looked at this team as a future dynasty, but the biggest question was how much noise could they make this season? Could they contend with those top teams like the Boston Celtics, like the Milwaukee Bucks? Well, so far, they've answered those questions. What's going on, everybody? So, back again with another video. Man, it's so great to be a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. My Cleveland Cavaliers have been on fire. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 6-1 at the time that I'm recording this video. They are 2nd in the Eastern Conference and 3rd in NBA power rankings. This team was on a 5-game winning streak without Darius Garland and recently beat the Boston Celtics in a thrilling overtime game where Darius Garland came back and had 29 points and 12 assists. They've done it with a combination of things. It's been their offense, it's been their defense, it's been their playmaking, it's been their shooting. This team is very well put together despite having a small backcourt and a very big frontcourt. So what makes the Cleveland Cavaliers the Cleveland Cavaliers? What makes this team so fun to watch and so amazing and so hard to beat? Let's dive into it. So like I said earlier, last year the Cleveland Cavaliers made a huge jump, and part of the reason why, or the biggest reason as to why they were able to make that, was because of their defense. In years past, the Cleveland Cavaliers were always a bottom feeder in defense, 20th, 25th, but with the drafting of Evan Mobley and the trading of Jarrett Allen and him propelling to be an all-star, that changed. The rim protection became top tier, and statistically speaking, the team was a top 5 defense last season. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen are a really good tandem. There were a lot of questions early on how they would fit, but they've hushed those up really fast. Both players are excellent paint protectors, both players can play out in space, and that's what's really key for this defense's success. But for the Cleveland Cavaliers, it's not only those two. It's Isaac Okoro at times, it's Dean Wade, it's Kevin Love at sometimes. Kevin Love is playing some solid defense, and all this is put together by the culture established by Coach J.B. Bickerstaff. Once J.B. Bickerstaff was made head coach, his whole philosophy was to have a great defensive team. That was the thing he always harped on. The Cavaliers play tough, gritty defense. They are always playing every possession like it's their last. And that's what's beautiful. That's what's most exciting. That's what's awesome about this team. It doesn't matter who it is, from Raul Neto and Ricky Rubio and Darius Garland to Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. Everybody tries their hardest on that side of the ball, and that's what we wanted. With as good as their defense was, the offense didn't really follow suit at times. Last season, the Cavaliers were decimated by injuries. Collin Sexton missed most of the season with an injury. Ricky Rubio tore his ACL in December, and it was just Darius Garland for the second half of the season. That's where their fall off happened. Injuries just started to pile up, and with all these injuries to these talented offensive players, their offense was very bad. In fact, statistically, it was one of the worst offenses in the league, and the only thing keeping them afloat was Darius Garland's amazing play. And in turn, that crept up on them, and unfortunately, that was their downfall in the play-in game against the Atlanta Hawks. So going into the offseason, how could the Cavs fix their offense? How could they add more scoring, improve their three-point shooting, improve the playmaking? I mean, we see how they did that, man. Trading for Donovan Mitchell, and boy, oh boy, has he been worth everything you gave up. Through 7 games, Donovan Mitchell is averaging 31.1 points per game, 7 assists. He's shooting 48% from the field and 44% from 3. Might I add, he's taking about 9 threes per game. Now, for me, I believe this is always the player that Donovan Mitchell could have been. You know, the problems in Utah was just, for one, he never had as dynamic as offensive pieces as he has in Cleveland right now. And 2, he's been playing a lot more point guard, which I think kind of suits him more. Now, will his numbers come back down to earth a little bit? I believe so. I don't think he's going to be a 31 point per game scorer, shooting 43% from 3 on 9 attempts for the entire season. But it's still very, very good to watch, and it's still something that we're going to talk about a lot as it's happening. But at the end of the day, we know this. We know Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen are the keys to this team's success. So what about the others? You know, who else has been stepping up? Boy, let me tell you, the Cavs have had a trio of players who have really taken that leap this season. Dean Wade, an undrafted player, he recently signed an extension that a lot of people were confused about, but if you were a Cavs fan, you know what he could have provided. Last season was just a little taste of what he could really do, and this year it's been exemplified. In 25 minutes of play, he's averaging 10 points and about 3.5 rebounds per game, shooting, get this, I want you guys to hear this, 59% from the field, 56% from 3. He's scorching hot right now. And not to mention, he's an amazing defender. He knows how to keep his opponent in front of him, as well as being able to shuffle and move his feet much better than a lot of people would expect. He's the perfect player for the Cavs, man. A 6'9", 228-pound beast. We also got to talk about Caris LeVert, who recently exploded for a 41-point game in the first game that the Cavaliers played against the Boston Celtics. Caris LeVert has taken on a new role this season, and he's looking a lot like how Andrew Wiggins looked for the Warriors last season. Now, I'm not saying those two are the same player, but in the same way that Andrew Wiggins had his offensive role condensed to be more efficient is the same thing that's happening to Caris LeVert. He's looking to pass more, he's taking a lot more threes, and he's making a lot more threes. And he's using his strength and athleticism to his strength on both offense and defense, and it's a sight to see. Now, he still has some offensive deficiencies. There are times where he's pretty inconsistent, but I mean, if he continues to play make as well as he has, continues to shoot it as well as he has, and play defense as well as he has, he's going to continue to have a spot on this team. And last, but certainly not least, we have to talk about the longest tenured Cleveland Cavalier in Kevin Love. Now, we all know what Kevin Love can do. He's a scorcher from 3, but recently he started adapting this ability to draw charges, which is very, very good. He's still a tenacious rebounder. He's a great post playmaker. I mean, he's a great go-to scorer. And in those times where those Cavs have those weird scoring droughts, he's a player to take them out of those. So when I look at this team, what do I see? And I'm going to say this, I truthfully see a title contender because they have everything that a title contender needs. You have the defense, the shooting, the offensive firepower. They are lacking, you know, in the experience, but you get that through making the playoffs, and I see this team as a playoff team. And considering all the craziness and hoopla that has happened in the NBA season, I think this team is the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference as of right now. You have the Bucks and the Celtics, and after that, things get a little, you know, tricky. I mean, the Hawks have looked good, but I would like to imagine that the Cavs are just a step above them. The Raptors are always going to be a great team. And then it's the Bulls, it's the Heat, it's the Sixers who have their own problems, the Knicks, the Wizards. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's a lot to talk about after you look at those first 2 top teams. The Nets as well, excuse me, this team that I miss who have their own problems that I don't want to get into right now, but they still have some great players. And it's not like this is a one-year thing. No, this team is built to be a dynasty. It's one that is going to be around for many, many, many years to come.